Friends, I hope you are well. I just want to let's talk about SoFi, see what's going on here. So, obviously, it's not a secret at this point. It's Thursday. The market will be opening up here soon. Or it's already open by the time you're watching this. But, um, yet, Wednesday here, well, actually Tuesday, Jerome Powell talked and he said things to crash the overall market, Tuesday evening into Wednesday. And we have just seen a progression of just sell off here. It's not been terrible, obviously, as of yet, but some things are still very, very up and very high gains. So, it's not awful, but nonetheless, there is a situation here where, investors will either take the market back here very soon into Friday, maybe today a little bit, but next week undoubtedly. So the thing too that SoFi is relying on to get to this higher $30, $40, $50 range by the end of the year, which I think is very possible. I think this is still very much in the grip of investors' capability here. Is obviously one, Q3 will be coming out here, 40 some days, if that, at the end of October here, but at the end of October here, we are expecting the second rate cut. Now, obviously, when Jerome talked here Tuesday, this was a situation of he made some comments, his famous comments, and he's done things like this before, where he said, we will, at the next Fed meeting, if we have to make adjustments, we will make adjustments. That key word there, adjustments, people went like, well, is he talking about not doing rate cuts? Because, he's still talking about inflation's tickering up. They're still having to wait to see, it's not as bad as they thought it was going to be, but, it is, they're starting to see it a little bit. There's just a lot of unknown, and the feds are unwilling to really, give a, definite what's going on here, which, that's a whole nother conversation here. But nonetheless here, I think a lot of us are depending on that the feds are going to release 2 more rate cuts by the end of the year. Not to mention, like I said, at the end of October, going into November here, we are going to be going into a situation where all of our big companies here, tech companies, banks, everything, will be releasing their Q3s. With that, what we dealt with last week and the beginning of this week, essentially Monday and then Tuesday into noon, that could kind of just start up again here at the end of October if we come into a situation where rate cut plus we've got quarterlies coming out. Companies are crushing quarterlies again. This is where things could go really, really crazy. And the Tom Lee, thought out there of the S&P 500 getting to a 7,000 point range. Well, that's gonna be a real big push right there for that number to be captured by the end of the year. So SoFi here, I still think is very much in this playground of getting to a higher $30 range. And today with SoFi selling off, it really was not. It really wasn't a big sell-off here. Even if we can if SoFi, we still see it bleed down to like a 27, that is pretty high still compared to 2 weeks ago. Okay, it's gonna take some money being ripped out of SoFi, and right now the worst we dealt with, Wednesday was SoFi selling down to this 28.44 cent range, closing out there. But like I said, even if SoFi sells down to 26.25 at the most, if it would go to that, I think people are just going to start buying it up, and you should absolutely, because I think a lot of us are under this, this spell right now, drinking the juice on SoFi, where we're going to see them continue to execute quarterlies. I'm having to believe in the feds that they're actually going to do at least 1 more rate cut, if not 2, like they said they're going to, and we can finish out this year here really strong going into next year. So, this is where I go, like, even buying SoFi, even at a $35 range, there could be, by the end of December going into January, you could be still in a huge profit range compared to where we could be at that time zone. So, like I said, it really, we'll see what happens here. This market literally crashed yesterday and today, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday here, based off a few Wrong words from one guy. That is essentially what has crashed the market here, just off what if speculation. And but as of right now, this is still the same market as it was last week and Monday, where we've received rate cut. We're supposed to get 2 more. Quarterlies are coming up here. Very excited about what SoFi is about to release here, and it's growing. SoFi is growing undoubtedly. So I'm curious to see what SoFi can sell off. I think a lot of people are in this realm of like, I don't care if SoFi sells off to $25, $26. I hope it does, because I'm going to double down. I'm going to buy some more, because I've seen that the mass is willing to pay this $30 range for it, and probably sooner than later, SoFi will be a $35 stock. This is the thing where, Tom Lee has talked about this, and I don't know if people like or get irritated when I talk about Tom Lee so much, but he's been very much like a lighthouse for me, in the market, especially this year with such a very unpredictable market, how things have just gone here this year. This has been one of the craziest years to be an investor. If somebody's a new investor this year in the market, that's a crazy time to start investing this year. But with that, Tom Lee has talked about, even, low cap stocks to, young companies that have stocks, share prices that aren't what they should be, maybe undervalued, SoFi 100%, even to ETFs. He has said that they are going to run very well here by the end of the year. There's going to be a huge push on a lot of these stocks, and my God, that's what we're seeing. We're seeing a lot of these, even if you have ETFs, I have a portfolio just full of ETFs and mutual funds that I buy into every week, every month, and they're moving like crazy. I mean, they're moving like little cheap little penny stocks, low cap stocks. I mean, the volume over there is insane. So right now, SoFi is very much in this realm of just doing very, very positive numbers. I think that SoFi stands. I think we could be shocked here. I don't think that Jerome's news is going to last here. Now, if we get something else, like another dart thrown at the market here within the next 2 days, this could continue to fall. But with that, I think that investors will take back the market here soon. And this has been the whole thing with the market all year, where investors have continued to take the market from the bears, the bad news, the what ifs. The investors have taken the market, and I think they'll take the market again here too, and they'll have stocks that will go along with them. And I think SoFi undoubtedly is going to be one of those stocks still 100%. So, friends, I felt about SoFi last week. Before rate cuts, I feel the same. After the announcement of the rate cuts, I feel the same. After Jerome Powell did his little Eeyore thing yesterday, I still feel the same about SoFi here. So I think this is just opportunity, to be honest with you. I think this is just opportunity, and this is time where people probably might just want to consider pushing in at this point with SoFi even more. And I think a lot of you will. That's just my little thing here on SoFi. Just, if I don't talk about things, people just seem to get upset in the comments, like, why aren't you talking about this? But I want to talk about Applied Digital just a little bit here. So Applied Digital, this has gone so past my expectations of what this stock could do this year. I mean, my expectations with this stock this year were for this thing to move to $10 to $15, and and that was like in the middle of the summer. And my biggest thought that I had on the stock was for it to move into $18, $19 to $20 here by the end of the year. And now this thing has pushed into this $25 range, and this is absolutely mad. This is crazy. It's fantastic. Congratulations to the people that have stayed with this stock. And I do think that there is a strong argument that data centers are just going to become more of a common conversation with stocks, with investors in the future, where these data centers are just getting bigger and bigger, and ones that are developing their own software, security, all this stuff. And Applied Digital has had a lot of amazing things happen to it this year, with pushing in finances, pushing with development, and it's just becoming a very, very very well-known stock, in the market right now. So yeah, I just congratulations everybody. It's done well with Applied Digital. I don't really think it's that popular of a stock when it comes to like talking about on YouTube. I have literally never seen anybody talk about the stock, but yeah, it has proven to be a great opportunity. I am curious to see what the struggle is here with it. Can it hold this $20 zone? If the market continued to have pushback here, which is very possible, this could easily drift down to like $18-19, and that's still like, whoa, that's still a very high number. What we just went through here these last 4 or 5 days in the market were intense and crazy. So I would expect there's still a lot of profit to take. Essentially, that's what I'm saying. There's still a lot of profit for investors to take before we could see another push in the overall market where investors say, okay, let's crank this up again and let's get going here. So yeah, SoFi, amazing numbers that have come out here, and Applied Digital, just another amazing situation that has occurred before us here. Friends, I want to wish all of you the best of luck. Wow, and I will talk to you all very soon. Take care of yourself, friends. Bye bye.